It's the second most cultivated fruit in the entire world. Plums.
Plums.
What's the first?
Apples.
Okay. I was going to guess bananas.
Every continent except Antarctica grows plums. Inspired by the adventures of our nurses, therapists, and techs, A Beer with Atlas is the only healthcare traveling, craft beer drinking podcast. Each week, we'll open a few beers, talk about the brewery and the style of beer, and then dive into some research curated specifically for each episode. In the end, we hope each one sounds like a conversation you'd have with your friends while enjoying a few cold ones.
Welcome to another episode of A Beer with Atlas. I'm Rich.
I'm Brian.
I'm Dolan.
This week, I cannot tell you where this beer came from.
Cool.
I don't remember. But it has been sitting back there for a while, and the can is, it's very...
Polka dotty.
Art Nouveau, maybe?
I don't know.
Well, that's more fancy
It
than...
looks like just a whole bunch of purple circles.
Purple polka dots. So from Stillwater Brewing, we have Insetto. Insetto.
Have we had Stillwater before?
Probably.
It seems very familiar.
I feel like we have.
I was going to say the can looks like if you had a microscope and you looked at Grimace's tongue. Those are his taste buds.
This is the Grimace taste buds. Well, we'll see if Grimace's taste buds can taste dry hop sour ale with Italian plums.
Ooh.
What's an Italian plum? Did you do anything on...
Italian plums?
Yeah.
No, I don't know what Italian plums are.
Are they smaller? Are they more purple? Or
They have an accent, I think.
Plums from Italy.
That's a good
I
call,
think that's
Dolan.
a pretty fair guess.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I guess. But it's a dry hop sour, which, whew, it smells sour, that's for sure.
Well, luckily, I just brushed my teeth before I came in today, so that'll be good.
I'm sure that'll make a nice flavor combination for you.
It's very bubbly. Lots of bubbles in there.
Yeah.
Almost like a champagne-y look to it, except it looks... Almost looks like peaches to me. The plums are close.
It's a little more amber than I thought it was going to be, and maybe that is the fruit that
Do you
makes
guys like
it that
plums?
color. I do like plums.
It's like my favorite fruit. I mean, under mangoes and pineapple, right? Like, I love plums.
Wow, I don't know if that's my third favorite, but okay.
I fucking love plums.
Heck yeah.
Number one.
Number
Dude,
one?
Number one.
Oh, they're so good.
Really? That's your number one fruit?
But it's got to be the sweet ones. Sometimes you get a sour one and it's not the same.
I want that too.
You
Mine,
really?
my only thing, sweet or sour is okay, but it's got to be hard.
Oh.
I don't want none of this ripe,
mushy,
squishy. I don't want it to be all dripping down my face. I need it to like snap me back when I bite it, like a Slim Jim.
Oh, okay.
That's how I like mine.
So you like yours a little sour then?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I wait till they're not like rotten squishy, but
You can squeeze
it's like
little.
a peach, you know?
No. I like all my stony fruits to be hard.
Cherries.
Or like an apricot or a nectarine. I want it to eat like an apple. I don't want it to...
See, I've just eaten apple and that. Honeycrisp apples. I don't think it gets better than
about
those.
flavor.
It doesn't get better than those.
I'm a Granny Smith guy. Wow. All right. Well, we got into that.
Founded in 2010, Stillwater is an original nomadic beer project that utilizes the traditional brewery as if it was a studio. This came directly off their website.
Yes.
As if it were a studio, a place where beer becomes a canvas for creation, collaboration, and experimentation. Fancy.
The guy is all about those things. Yes, I will agree.
Brian Strumke
Yes, him.
used to be a DJ too, I guess.
That's what they said. I read some articles.
Interesting. You got some info on him.
I didn't listen to his music though. Let's see. Started out in Baltimore, I think you said. You mentioned the nomadic brewery thing. So there was a craze back in the day, like 10 years ago or so.
That's right? Back in the day.
Yeah. When craft brewery was just starting to pop. And there was these other places that were like, you know what? We're not doing that. We're just going to go around and use your stuff and we'll make beer. So McKellar was one of those.
Yeah.
And Evil Twin was one of those. And Stillwater. Those were the three big ones. Those are the ones that are still around that I know of.
Yeah.
McKellar did make a tap room eventually. I went to one in San Francisco. And I think they have one in Europe somewhere. So they're like world traveling brewers.
Don't they have-
Iceland, I think they do some stuff there sometimes.
Am I thinking wrong? Do they have one in South Dakota too?
McKellar, I would be shocked.
Okay, maybe
I
not.
would be shocked.
I'm thinking of somebody else then.
They do have distribution there, but I don't know if they have a. I would fall over. Evil Twin, we've had some of their stuff, maybe not on the show, but it comes around quite a bit. They make a lot of stouts and sours, and
I think we've had at least
We might
one
have.
Evil Twin.
I think they make a holiday beer sometimes, Christmas stuff. They have all sorts of different runs that they do, but they are another one of those that just goes from brewery to brewery and makes the beer. So the distribution is kind of all over the place. You might get it, you might not, depending on where the brewery that they brewed it at is, I guess.
Well,
that
and
makes sense.
we get Evil Twin here, and they have amazing labels and then crazy long beer names too.
Yep.
Generally,
Yeah, that's usually how you'll spot them. So if you see them on the draft board, it's like
Super long.
three lines
Yep.
just for their title. Which, after a while of everybody's making beer, that's one way to do it, I guess.
I mean, if you want to stand out,
Otherwise, you're just calling it hazy IPA.
I've seen
Or
that
you
too.
could have called,
Unfortunately, that's-
otherwise it's like Professor Longhair's left nail splinter guts. And that's their IPA name.
yeah,
Splinter Guts.
Sour Project.
Yep, something like that. As of April 21st, this is hot off the press.
It's like last month.
Yeah, like 10 days ago.
Yeah.
They're no longer nomadic.
Oh, Stillwater.
Yeah.
Really?
They're setting up shop
You did read more than I did.
full time in Washington State.
Oh,
So Brian Strumke, we're going to say that's how you say his name.
I think that's right.
I read a couple articles about him yesterday, and this is a quote he had. COVID-19 really fucked up the brand.
He actually said this. This is an
Yeah.
actual. Okay. All right.
Because, and then I'm going to smush down what I read.
Paraphrase.
Right? Yeah,
Okay,
so
yeah.
part of the appeal of his business model, the traveling style, was traveling and meeting people and doing stuff. Well, guess what? When COVID happened, everybody locked it down. People were not making beer; they were making hand sanitizer.
Yeah.
And that's not going to sell for Stillwater, right? So that kind of was like, oh man, he had to reevaluate basically everything.
Yeah.
His background is in, you mentioned some music stuff, but that was more of a part-time gig. He also was an IT guy. So he said, I would sit in my cubicle all day and Google the answers to tech support questions and think about making beer, homebrew. So he was a good home brewer.
So have you tried turning it off and turning it back on?
Yeah, let me, yes, do that. Try that.
Try that.
He was making beer, I think, in the Baltimore area, and he had a friend also named Brian who was owned a brewery. And they had some people coming from out of town, and they said, hey, you're going to try our beer, and then you got to go to my friend's house, this other Brian, Strumke, and try his homebrew. It's amazing, right? We've been there before, and this guy was like, this is amazing beer. The guy that came to try it out, he's like, I've got business plans. We should do something. And he was like, okay,
All right.
we'll see what happens.
I guess.
So that's what they do. And he has this idea of just kind of going all around because he traveled all around doing his music stuff, and he likes the idea of moving. So it is a little surprising, I guess, that he has now decided to plant roots in Washington State. Let's see, did I write down where it's going to be?
Interesting that he didn't go back to Baltimore, right? Maybe he just didn't like Baltimore.
When it started taking off, it was in Baltimore for like 2 years, maybe. And it started taking off a little bit, and then he went to New York City. And then he was in California for a while. And then he was in Seattle. And then 2 weeks before COVID hit, he said that, what did I write down? At the 10th hour. Is that late time?
Well, 11th is usually the latest.
Okay,
but,
so we'll say,
yeah.
11th. That's what I wrote
There
down.
we go. Okay.
He pulled out of a deal in Brooklyn to open a little tap room, and
That's probably smart.
then 2 weeks later, COVID hit. So that was probably
that's very smart.
Probably
then.
a good thing.
Yeah.
The first cans, now you might have seen these previously, or if you looked up Stillwater on the internet.
Yeah.
The first few years of cans had a tattoo look to them. Almost like Sailor Jerry, or like that sort of look. A lot of skulls and pirates
American
and stuff.
traditional.
Yes.
Yes.
And that's because Lee Versosa, was the artist. And as a friend of this Brian guy's from way back since they were kids.
Okay.
And he was just like, hey, I need labels and you're an artist. Will you do these?
Go.
And he was like, yeah, okay.
So they nonchalant with all of this. So they're just like, yeah, whatever.
That's kind of how the vibe was.
What are you doing tonight? I guess I can do this.
I don't know. I'm working. And he's also an attorney. That guy, I think, was it? No, that's the next guy. Okay, so this Versosa guy wants to be a tattoo artist. That's his dream.
Oh.
Not necessarily designing beer labels. And as the beer is growing in popularity, they are winning awards and they're becoming world famous. They need to start going digital. And this guy is like, I'm an analog dude. Like, I like to draw with my hand and pen and paper and ink. And I'm not drawing it on an iPad for you. So I think I'm going to call it a day.
Peace out.
So it gets us another guy, Mike Van Hall. He's the next one. He's a graphic designer and an attorney. They said the design aesthetic went from grunge to pop, if you can look at it that way.
Oh, I can see that.
So that's the change. And then after that, they really started becoming more available in a lot of different places. The distribution got a little bit bigger. And then around that same time was when TV was looking at reality shows. Like, there's a reality show for everything, right? And they were thinking, man, that's kind of a cool idea. They could follow this dude around. He goes all around the world and makes beer, and people really like beer right now, and maybe we should do something with this. So he goes out to Los Angeles, and he starts shooting pilots and TV stuff, and basically, in his words, he became a celebrity. He's like,
can you call yourself a celebrity?
He did.
Okay.
He did.
Okay.
So we'll go with that.
Sure.
And it didn't work out. No TV shows, but he was met a lot of people and did a lot of hobnobbing and elbow rubbing, if you will, and which is kind of what you do in the craft beer world too.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
Collaborate. So he did that stuff, and then he's like, man, I really strayed from what I wanted to do. I wanted to make beer and not make TV shows about beer.
I'll be honest, that's what I was thinking in my head too. Is
he pulls it together.
Okay.
10th anniversary.
Yeah.
Which is recent.
Which is just last year.
He says, you know what? I'm taking over the branding. I'm taking over the design because I'm an artist too. And that's what we have here.
This is where we get the polka dots in that business from. Interesting.
He decided the outside has to match what the inside is. So the colors scheme, that's what's going to be. You're going to look at this and you're going to be like, okay, Plum, that makes sense.
Yeah.
The color inside the can, maybe not, but the outside is going to reflect, yes.
The flavor's definitely there,
so
for sure.
That's on purpose for sure. So he's been doing that now. I cannot believe I did not write this down. I had it in a separate browser. But the brewery that he's tied up with now, here it is. I did find it. Okay. Talking Cedar is the name of the brewery. It's
Cedar, like the tree. Okay.
And it's on the Chalalis Indian Reservation land in Rochester, Washington. And that's the first brewery I've ever heard of on like native land.
On a reservation.
Yeah. And I thought that was really cool. And it looks super beautiful. It looks kind of small. I looked on their website. They're making beer. They've been making beer there for quite a while. But as of April 21st, it's going to be his spot too. So I don't know if they're, like splitting time, half the time, day versus night or whatever. But how it's going to work out, it was still so brand new. I don't know if they had an idea, but that's what he's decided to do. So he's gone all over the world, all over the United States, and now he's planting roots.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's interesting. I guess. Yeah. Have you heard of another kind of like gypsy brewer like this that has made that kind of choice? I don't know enough about McKellar to know if they're still doing gypsy or not. When COVID hit, that closed down the tap room in San Francisco. I don't know if it's reopened or not. It was kind of a cool vibe in that place. It was very European. It was kind of dark in there, and it was different. It was like not a craft brewery of the United States, if that makes sense. That's where I would want to go, though.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah,
it was definitely neat. Everything was in milliliters, and like you ordered it by the milliliter. You didn't say I want a pint. You were like, I need 13.3 milliliters or whatever the hell it would be.
Well, that seems too fancy to
me.
The
food was fancy, and it was a place I was just like, this would not be my normal. Yeah. This would not be the regular place I go, but on vacation, it was pretty awesome.
But I'd remember it.
Yeah. I got my best ever stout glass from McKellar.
Oh.
It was basically a whiskey glass, real weighted on the bottom. It was about, 8 ounces probably. It just felt good in your hand. It would have been a great throwing glass, like if you're on a soap opera and you had a fight in front of a fireplace or something.
Smash.
That's what happened to mine. It dropped it.
Huh.
Was it 8 ounces or was it so many milliliters?
Well,
Yeah, exactly.
I was
Yeah.
doing the math, but probably it was probably marked milliliters. But I couldn't get another one, and man, I missed that thing
So you did smash it?
on accident.
Oh.
Yeah, broke it.
No, that's
R.I.P.
too bad. 2011. This guy knows what he's doing, right? 2011. When he first started out, he was named one of the top new brewers in the world by RateBeer.com.
Yes.
And I almost wonder if maybe that I've known guys like this before, right? Who find some instant success and then go and do everything they possibly can under the sun to try to build on that success. When if you just focus on beer, I don't know the guy. I mean, I have no idea. But it seems like, wow, he did a whole lot of side projects here. And if he had just maybe focused on beer, now this beer is actually very good.
Yeah.
As a dry hop sour, it's pretty good. The plum flavor comes out really nice.
It's not overly
No.
sour to your face. This would be a good intro sour for people.
Absolutely. Yeah. But if he had just focused on beer in the beginning, maybe that would have been a little bit different. I don't know. Maybe.
I don't know. I'd be like, you want to put me on a TV show? All right, let's do this.
I guess.
That's what I'd do.
Let's go.
I can make beer forever. I can't be on TV or whatever. I don't know. I mean, that was one model that was out there, business model. It just doesn't seem to be as popular as it was back then. I don't know.
I have a friend, and I use friend lightly. I've never met him. We know each other through the internet, through toy collecting. Same sort of guy, though. Like, the guy is just, he's in a band, and he sells toys on the side, and he's a programmer, and, or whatever. Like, I don't know how he finds time to do all this. Like, he just posted a thing the other day where there's a memory from 6 years ago. His band played the Viper Room.
Oh,
and
nice.
You know where the Viper Room is? I guess it's
In LA, yeah.
Is that some famous place, maybe?
Oh, yeah.
All right, well.
Yeah.
So
That's where, I'm pretty sure that's where River Phoenix died outside of, in front of drug overdose.
Really?
Right in front of the Viper Room. Johnny Depp's band played there before. It's a very famous rock club in LA.
He has that kind of air to him, right? I mean, when you see him, he does live videos and stuff, and you see him, you're like, maybe something more to this. But man, if he just focused on one thing, he would be the king of the world. I don't know. Oh,
I wish I had interests and hobbies. This is it right here, I guess.
you mentioned distribution a little bit, so I actually found distribution for Stillwater. Available in Arizona, California, Connecticut, Florida, Georgia, Idaho, Illinois, Louisiana, Maine, Maryland, Minnesota, Missouri, Nevada, New Jersey, New York, North Carolina, Ohio, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, South Carolina, Vermont, Virginia, Washington, Wisconsin, and Washington, D.C.
I didn't hear Nebraska.
No Nebraska, Kansas, Missouri.
So how do we
on
get
there.
this?
No, Missouri was on there. It must have been a traveler that brought it to us, maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure.
No, these come in 4-packs.
It was a 4-pack. Yeah. Internationally available in Australia, Belgium, Brazil, Denmark, Germany, Italy, Japan, the Netherlands, Norway, Singapore, Spain, Sweden, and the UK.
There you go.
Why is it?
Worldwide.
Wow.
Why is the Netherlands? Why isn't it just Netherlands?
We talked about that.
I know. Why isn't it
It's rebranding.
the Germany? The Ohio State University. I don't know.
Probably because it has that plural at the end. That S really changes it up.
Okay, well, there you go.
At least it wasn't like New Netherlands,
That'd be cool.
right?
Maybe that's next year. Insetto. That's Italian for insect. Just so you know.
Insect.
Yeah.
Like a bug.
They're saying, well, why is it called? Maybe it's because they said, well, the beer's infected. It's bugged.
Bugged.
It's got bugs. It's making it sour. The lacto in there's doing things to you.
Gross. I don't want to think about like bugs on the production line or whatever.
How about this? Bugs in the plums.
Oh, maybe.
Okay.
Maybe.
Plum facts.
Ooh.
Brought you some plum facts. You guys ready? You're not going to know many of these.
Hit it.
It's the second most cultivated fruit in the entire world. Plums.
Plums.
What's the first?
Apples.
Okay. I was going to guess bananas.
Every continent except Antarctica grows plums.
Okay. All right.
Here's the colors of the outside of the skin, if you will. Purple, reddish purple, yellow, reddish green, and white.
Yellow plum.
Those are good.
There are white
Never had
plums?
There are white plums.
Okay.
There's something awesome that's called a plum cot. If you've ever seen those, if you get those maybe at Hy-Vee, if you see it, get a chance to buy those, do it. It's an apricot and a plum together, and it is amazing. It's got a freckly skin. It's got looks like it's almost dirty, but it's just the skin.
I've
good.
seen the plouts.
Yeah.
Was that a plum and a... I don't even know.
Gout. I don't know. Clout. European plums. Those have been around for 2,000 years. They come from the Caspian Sea area, which, that's where everything comes from.
Right.
Japanese plum. They don't know. It's been around a long time, but they guess at least 3,000 to 4,000 years.
Okay.
May to October, so we're just hitting May now. It is plum season, so they're ready to go. Not here, obviously, but wherever they are growing, that's if it's temperate in that area, you might have some plums.
Interesting.
Once you pick it off the tree, it starts to soften, as we talked before. So
the clock starts.
Yes. So the sooner you can eat it. You want to eat that where it's hard and crisp and not as juicy, I guess is the term I would use. Drier. Then you eat it right away.
That's optimal.
Yeah, for me.
Not me.
No,
if you're a Dolan style, you let it sit in the bag.
What is optimal? Yeah, what do you...
I gotta let it sit just a little bit. Not too much. I still like a little crunch.
Okay.
But I like the juice and the sweet. It's more sour when they're hard, I think.
It's like, do you want it messy or not? That's what it comes down to.
That's basically what it is.
I guess. I mean, same with peaches, right? Right?
Yeah.
It's the same. It's exactly the same
concept.
Almost.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I like a squishy peach a little bit.
I knew you did.
Yeah.
Plums. They're a good luck symbol in Chinese culture. So you'll see them on a lot of, especially older artworks and things like that.
Okay.
They make alcohol with plums in the Balkans.
Okay.
It's called slivovitz. They just ferment plums, and it's like strong hooch.
Like a wine, maybe?
More like a vodka, I think.
Yum. Okay.
But they do make wine. Japan and Korea is the world's biggest maker of plum wine. It's very popular. There are 200 varieties of plums.
Oh.
That's a lot.
Sure.
Dried plums.
Prunes.
But not all prunes are plums. I don't understand how that works. And then the last thing I wrote down in my notes, this is more of an anecdotal thing, the Lucky Prune scene in Problem Child. Do you remember this movie?
I do not. No.
So John Ritter.
Oh, rest in peace, yeah.
Yeah, and he has a son that's a bad kid. He's like a Dennis the Menace, but on purpose.
He's been to my house.
Dennis the Menace?
No, well, I mean,
yeah. So he's a really bad kid, and he's causing all these problems. And Michael Richards is in the movie.
Oh.
Kramer.
Yeah.
And John Ritter has this lucky prune and keeps it in his pocket, in his suit. Carries it with him all the time. And
that's kind of gross.
That prune stops a bullet.
Well, I don't know how that's possible, but okay.
Because it was so hard, it stopped a bullet from the killer, which I believe my 9-year-old memory was Michael Richards.
Was Michael Richards?
That was his first movie after UHF. So he's climbing the ladder of Hollywood at this point, and tries to shoot John Ritter. And luckily, a prune saved the day. So if you can see Problem Child, go ahead. You can skip Problem Child 2 and 3. But Problem Child 1, Macaulay Culkin lost out on that one. He tried out for that and did not get the movie.
Who was the kid then?
Some no-namer. He never did anything else.
What?
They should have had Macaulay.
They should have.
2 years later, though, Macaulay made a movie called The Good Son, and it was basically a not funny Problem Child. That was basically the movie.
He was a killer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was the Problem Child kid.
Yeah.
It was an 80s movie, like he was lighting people on fire and pushing people, and you can't do that now. The movie poster had a picture of a washing machine, and they're like, you can't. He pushed a kid in the washing machine, and you got that on the movie poster. You can't do that.
Yeah, they did.
I was like, we did.
They
It's
totally
1988.
did. Yeah.
We'll do what we want.
Yep.
So
the 80s were great.
hell yeah, they were. You know what else is great? Dude's named Brian. I've got a list since we've got Brian. Strumke,
Okay.
the dude of Stillwater.
Yeah.
And obviously me.
Is this Brian IAN? or-
Yeah, that's the only way to spell it.
Okay.
You spell it with a Y, you're crazy. Parents were bad dudes. All right. Brian May,
Queen.
guitar player, Queen. Also, like, space nerd and, like, has a PhD.
How do you feel about him as a guitar player? Do you think he's up there as one of the greatest, or he was in a good band?
Well, when I think of Queen, I don't think of guitar.
Sometimes.
I think of Freddie's piano. That's what I think of.
And Freddie.
No, I mean, sure,
Okay,
he can play it, but it's not what I think of. It's not like The Who.
Top 50?
Oh, sure.
Okay, all right.
This guy, Brian Johnson, AC/DC.
Okay, yeah.
After Bon Scott. Brian Luttrell. Backstreet Boys.
Yeah, see, no.
He's famous.
Yeah, no.
Brian Austin Green.
Yeah, actor, yeah.
90210.
Yeah.
OSTEN, right?
No.
Okay, never mind.
Brian Jones, guitar player for the Rolling Stones. This actor named Brian Cox. He's on a show called Succession.
Oh.
He's an old grumpy dude.
It's a football player named Brian Cox, too.
There was, yeah.
Way back in the day, yeah.
Brian Wilson from the Beach Boys. He's a genius. We'll just go ahead and say that. Probably not because of his name.
Trailblazer.
Crazy person.
Well,
He built a sandbox in his living room and put a piano in it to write music.
Okay.
Because he could only write songs if his feet were in the sand. That's not normal. Brian Baumgartner.
No.
You can find him on Cameo. However, he's known as Kevin from The Office, and he spills a big pot of chili.
Yeah.
And then the best baseball player of my youth that shared my name, Brian McRae,
Brian McKay.
from the Kansas City Royals
And Chicago Cubs.
and the Cubs.
Yeah.
So there's it's short list. There's not a lot of us famous Brians, but enough to
I
get
don't
the
know.
point across.
What about Brian, Family Guy?
Yeah, he's good. Brian Boitano, the skater, he was pretty good.
Good skater, yeah. I got a Brian story for you. You want a Brian story?
Yeah, duh.
My best friend and roommate in college was named Brian. Okay.
Is this back in the Madden football days or whatever?
This was
Tecmo?
the Super Tecmo Bowl days. Yes, he was part of
Okay.
the Tecmo Bowl, Super Tecmo Bowl League for us, and he was the Chiefs because he was a Chiefs fan.
Hell yeah, he was.
Yep.
Okay.
He was in the Army for 3 years, so he was a year older than me in school. Got out of school, went to the Army for 3 years, then came back, and he was overseas in Germany and whatever
The
else.
Germany.
The Germany,
Right.
yep. And so then he came back and he went to school, and we moved in together, and man, we drank a lot, and it was fantastic. We lived in this big house. We called it the Pit, with a guy named Wilson. That was his last name.
volleyball.
Yeah.
Brian Wilson.
Comes all together.
I'm sorry, Wilson. Yeah, so his name was Josh Wilson. Anyway, and a couple other guys. One guy that couldn't stop calling 900 numbers and driving our phone back when you had
I know
landlines.
what you're talking about.
God, that fucking guy. He cost us so much money. Anyway, so Brian, he grew his hair out from when he got out of the military. He grew his hair out long.
Sure.
And he was like probably he's probably 6'5", 6'6". He's a big dude.
Yeah.
And wore glasses, and he wore the birth control glasses,
Yeah.
the standard issue
Oh,
for
yeah.
the military, right? Oh, wore them all the time.
The BCs, yep.
Yep. And he just didn't care. He didn't care. And I knew, and he liked to fight too, man. That's why he loved to fight. So I knew going into bars, I could say anything I wanted because he was right behind me there. He was my Chewbacca to Han Solo. And boy, I ran my
utilized
mouth.
him, huh?
Yeah. Anyway, he would wear his dog tags everywhere. And we were out at a party in the middle of nowhere, Kansas. And a girl comes up to him, drunk girl comes up to him, grabs his dog tags and looks at him. She goes, "Your name is Brain?" And Brian's like, "What? No, my name is Brian. You're drunk." And she's like, "No, it says Brain." And she turned it around and showed him. And sure enough, on his dog tags that he wore the entire time he was in Germany for 3 years, issued from the military, never lost them. They misspelled his name, and he never noticed. It took some drunk girl in the middle of nowhere, Kansas, to call that out.
That is awesome story.
Brain Schmidt.
Oh my gosh.
That is
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. Brain Schmidt.
That's really cool. So I actually had a roommate named Brian in college.
Hell yeah.
We were like best friends in high school. We did like speech and debate and all that kind of stuff, and inter monologues or duets. I guess it wouldn't be monologues, but we went to nationals and all sorts of things. So we were like really close friends. Decided to move together in college, and his nickname was Brain. I called him Brain.
Yep.
So this is super funny.
That's really weird.
Yeah. He was tall. He was 6'3", 6'4", but he was just sticks. So couldn't run my mouth.
The skeleton.
To have him protect me, but yeah, that's really funny. Brain.
Oh yeah, that happens all the time.
Brian, roommate in college.
I'll tell you, I think at the end of the night, old Brain took that girl home, so it worked for him.
There you
Hell
go.
yeah.
So there it is.
Glad one of us has game.
All right, Untapped. $964 check-ins on this one. I was kind of shocked how low the check-in number was on this. 964. Where do you think we land? Not for everybody. Definitely not for everybody.
3.62.
372.
379.
Oh,
Right at it. Right at it.
Yeah, that's about where I'd go.
Yeah, 375. It's good.
I really like this.
Do you?
Yeah, I'd go 425.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's good plum flavor. The dry hop was really nice. The sour was really nice. It wasn't overpowering.
I think if it was in a pint can, I'd go higher.
Ooh, I think you're right.
You know,
yeah,
just a little more.
I think you're
A
absolutely
little bit
right.
more.
Yeah, I mean that can't
Yeah.
hurt the rating, right?
I definitely took advantage of you talking more by drinking the rest in
Hey,
the
that
can.
happens.
So
That's why I was trying to chug it at the beginning while you were talking. That's how it goes.
next week, we go back to an old friend in Colorado, but we visit a brand new. I would say it's new. I don't know if we've ever had this type of beer before. So almost 200 episodes, and we've never had this type of beer. But it is very popular in Asian countries. So we will visit that next week. Until then, we're not going anywhere for a while.
Let's have another beer.
Thank you for listening to A Beer with Atlas. Special thanks to our brand team for producing the show. Each episode of A Beer with Atlas is powered by Atlas MedStaff, an industry leader in travel healthcare staffing.